Is it draining? Don't tell me this thing was empty. Welcome back, you shifts. So today what I'm doing is I'm gonna do a transmission lubricant change on my dad's 2014 Dyna switchback. So the only thing that you're gonna wind up needing is a couple tools, which I have right here. So I'm gonna need the Syn3 SAE 20W50 transmission lubricant. Then I have a couple of O-rings just to make sure, you know, if any of the drain plugs or the gaskets need to be replaced. I have those. I have a 3/8 drive socket wrench. I have a long reach 3/8 Allen key to help me take the dipstick out, and a 5/8 socket. So I'm going to walk you guys through all this. If I'm missing anything, I'm going to make sure to put it in the description down below, and then also just make sure to put text here so you guys can also look at it along the way. Now the cool thing that I have is my dad's owner's manual to make sure to help me out along the way. So I'm going to make sure to take pictures of this and then wind up putting it also in the video so you guys can see it and use it as a reference just in case you don't have it. So again, this is a 2014 Dyna switchback, so let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is on my dad's switchback, there's this little cover here that I need to take off, which gets you right into the dipstick that's back there. Now, the dipstick that's there, you can use like an Allen key for it. I wouldn't recommend using an Allen key set because it's not big enough. So you need a 3/8, 3/8 Allen key size. So that's why I have the long reach 3/8 for me, which is gonna help me take that out completely. So let's get ourselves into it. So first thing I wanna do is take off this cover right here, which slides right off and it clips from the back. Now I could take this, put it in on an angle, and I should be able to take this right off. And the reason why I want to take this off first is because when I'm draining this out completely, I want to make sure that I don't cause what's referred to as vapor lock. So I want to try and loosen this as much as possible and actually just take it out too, so I can check where it needs to be filled, and I can also check the O-ring in here that needs to be replaced. So now that this is loosened, I can take this. Also, it helps when you are filling this up, or actually when you're draining it, that it helps you allow some airflow to get inside and drain it out completely into the oil pan, just so it's easier, you know, create like a little bit of wind. So there goes that. That's out. So you guys can see it. It's right inside right here. And that's where we're gonna need to make sure that we could take that out. Loosen it up a little bit more. I'm just gonna take it out completely. All right, cool. So in order to read this dipstick, we wanna make sure that we have an A and an F, right? So with this, at the very least, A is gonna let you know if it's underneath that you need to add, and the F is going to let you know when it's full. We want to aim for right in between to let us know that, hey, we have enough in this. And we're also going to wind up measuring this on the Jiffy stand. So right now, I don't have anything in terms of a lift on the bike, like I don't have a motorcycle jack. It's just on leveled ground. So it's going to be a lot easier for me. So now I want to look at this O-ring to see if it needs to be replaced. So a little bit is ripping off. I just want to inspect it. I'm most likely just going to replace this just for the sake of doing so. Actually, I can't replace this because I don't have the proper O-ring for it. So I need to make a note that whenever you do this, make sure to replace this O-ring. Just getting into a good habit, you know, maintenance of, even though this one looks pretty healthy, I just want to get into the habit of replacing these so I know when all of them get replaced, roughly how many miles ago did I do it to replace it. So right now I'm just going to take this. This definitely needs some transmission fluid. Let me just check again. Yeah, it's saying to add some. See that? It's saying to add some. So it's glistening just a little bit, and this needs to go in. It actually looks relatively clean. So we're going to put that back in there. Now I want to get underneath the bike. So when it comes to the transmission, it's going to be on the right side of the bike. So just as a reference point, where you see here where it says 6-speed, and then also the 103, the engine right? It's going to be on this right side towards the bottom. So I'm going to move this out of the way just to show you guys. It's going to be directly underneath right there. That's what I want to focus on in terms of taking the bolt out. So it's going to be practically, if you want to use a reference point, it's going to be directly under the 6-speed side. So I'm going to go from here and just loosen it up. There we go. Loosen it up. It's just hand tight because the heat from the bike is going to wind up creating a little bit of a lock on it. So there we go. Once that's off, I can just loosen this up with my hands. There we go. And this should be able to just come right off. And there we go. Wow. That looks really clean. It actually looks really clean. So I'm going to wind up tilting this bike up just so it drains out even more. Don't tell me this thing was empty. So as I am letting this drain out completely, what I want to do is I want to check this O-ring. So what I am trying to look for is if there's any like metal shavings up here towards the top, or if there's any chunks. And then also I want to make sure to inspect the O-ring to see if it needs to be replaced. So this definitely needs to be replaced because that O-ring is bad. Sorry for it not being so clear, but that needs to be replaced completely because it's getting ripped. And then this has little globs on top, which is okay. Just want to make sure that you wipe that all down, take it off, clean it up, and it's going to wind up looking like that grayish color. That's just metal shavings from the engine itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this O-ring off and just replace it. And again, this is the whole point of taking these O-rings off and replacing them so that you can keep track of when you've replaced them. The ring doesn't look too bad. Oh well, still gonna replace it. In this kit, it comes with other O-rings as well. So I'm gonna take this new one, take a little bit of the oil, put it on just to lubricate it, and we can slide it right back on. There we go. Make sure you slide it all the way to the top. So now that the bike is fully drained, I'm gonna put the plug back in. So first you wanna start this off hand tight. Make sure it's catching its groove. And then you can twist it down the rest of the way. So what this plug calls for is it calls for anything from 14 to 21 foot-pounds. So what I'm gonna do is just gonna tighten it a little bit. Boom. Now that it's hand tight, I can go back in with my torque wrench. So now what I want to do is, since that is plugged all the way now, I want to now take this dipstick out just like so. Take it right out. And again, I'm using the markers of A and F, and I want to try and get it right in the middle, right about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up this bike. It requires the Syn3 SAE 20W50. So I'm going to take this and fill it up right in through there. And again, it's only going to take 28 fluid ounces. So what they do say is with this, you want to make sure that you measure it out beforehand. Since this comes with 32, I don't have something to measure it out with 4 ounces left. So I'm going to make sure that I'm paying attention and getting it to that 4 ounce mark. Since it's 32 minus 4 is 28 fluid ounces, and then we should be good. So I'm going to use this funnel, put it right in there. So now what I want to do is when I fill this up, I want to pour the bottle back just so that there's no, so that it actually allows airflow. And I'm going to pour this in slowly just so I can keep track of making sure that I have 4 fluid ounces left over, because this only calls for 28. I'm stopping every once in a while just to make sure that this gets down to the 4 so I don't overfill it. There you have it. It's going to be just above 4 ounces, which is okay. And then again, like the bike has mentioned before, you want to check this oil fill on its jiffy stand. So the bike is already on its jiffy stand. They literally just mean the kickstand right there. So since the bike is already on that, I can just check to see if anything needs to be added. Okay, we are at that middle marker. Cool, so we're good. Now I'm just going to take this and put everything back together. You want to make sure when you're putting this dipstick back in that it goes in properly. You don't want to fight it so much. And these are so gentle that they can easily break. So we want to make sure, get this in hand tight first. And then we will just go a little bit more because the heat from the engine is going to wind up sealing that completely. There we go. And good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn on the bike, let it get up to get some heat, and make sure that everything's working fine. I got the key fob, boom, turned on. I gotta make sure to take this out of gear because I had it in gear before. These things are always so tricky to find first. To find neutral. Come on, there we go. It's lit up neutral. All right. Listen to that thing go. So neutral. And just for me, I like to check to make sure that there's no leaks. So that's good. It should be good. Now, put that cover back on. Now I just want to make sure and check. So he has it at 12,841 miles. So with these bikes, you want to try to do them every 5,000 miles because his bike's already broken in. He doesn't need to worry about it too much. This is actually going to help him out. So again, every 5,000 miles. If it was a newer bike with the motor, you'd have to do it with the intervals. So it's 500, 1,000, and then they check it just to make sure that the engine is getting broken in properly. But now this sounds pretty good. So, all right, take the win for the day. And also, let's just get a good sound bite of this. Ready? There we go. So, to a job well done. I'll check you guys out on the next one. And again, I'm gonna put a list of everything that I wound up using for today. I'm gonna put a list of everything that I wound up using for today. Also, what you wanna do as a point of reference too, is you wanna make sure that you always do the primary, the engine oil, and the transmission lubricant changed all at the same time, just so you can keep track of them. So I'm gonna make sure to have another video as well to show you guys how to do it on this 2014 Dyna Switchback. So if you guys are ever looking to do the work on your own, you know how to do it. So I'm gonna come out with the engine oil video and the primary change as well. Just because, you know, you get to wrench around and you get to learn about this stuff. So stay tuned for that next video. All right. And hey guys, stay shifty out there and keep the rubber side down.